Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you. Hey everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at BrickFair Virginia 2023, and today we're taking a look at a fantastic Indiana Jones collaborative layout here. I've got a couple of builders who are going to give us an overview of this layout, and then we'll dive on in. So what are your names?
My name is Shane. I go as Cult of Christensen online.
My name is Brendan, also known as Jedi Bob.
Okay. So give us an overview of what you've got for us today.
Well, today we have a collection of builds from the first 4 Indiana Jones films, a bunch of little vignettes of various sizes. And Brendan, you want to explain how this collab kind of originated from?
This is a very cool origin story of how this collab came to be, because after the pandemic, BrickFair came back, a lot of new people came over, and I met my friend Ethan, who we found out we're both giant Indy fans. Indy 5 was 2 years away, and we both bonded over our love of Lego Indiana Jones. So we were like, 2 years when Indy 5 is still out, let's do a collab, and that's how this one came to be. Sadly, Ethan got sick, so he can't be here, which is really unfortunate, but I think he'd be proud of everything we got here.
Sounds good. Well, let's start taking a look at the builds then, and we can see what we've got up first here. So if you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you brought.
I'm Ryan Lawler, Lawless Bricks on Instagram, and for me, I built the scene in the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark where Indiana Jones is teaching at college. Not necessarily a really consequential scene in the film whatsoever. However, I like the idea that it gives you an insight into his life outside of what you see in the movies. He's not always on an adventure. He's not always, out in the tropics or something. He's teaching kids in class. You see it throughout all the movies. And I felt it was something that should be highlighted within the collab.
I like the use of the wood pieces around the blackboard there.
Thank you. Yeah, I was able to. I was lucky. I was able to get a good deal on them, and I found them in my collection. I was like, I wanted to try to, I didn't spend the most amount of time on it, but I wanted to try to make it look, old, because it's not necessarily old in the movie, but you can tell there's some wear to the classroom.
Sounds good. Thank you. Keep moving down the line then to our next builder.
I'm Aiden Poyer, or Adore Lego Studios on Instagram, and I built the Indiana Jones Fight at the Raven build. This is from the first movie. It takes place about the first hour. And this is when Indiana Jones travels to Marion's bar, and then some of the Germans meet them there, and then this huge fight breaks out. Flames go everywhere. This build took me about 6 months in total, and that was mainly because I spent about 3 months trying to figure out how to do the floor. Because if you look, there's about a quarter of a plate indent between the light bluish gray and the dark bluish gray part. That was achieved by placing the light bluish gray part on some tiles and the dark bluish gray on some studs, and it just creates this nice crease in between. It really gives off the look of the stone floor. And then the other part of this build I'm really proud of is the fence usage in the very back with the black fence behind, because it creates this lattice effect. And yeah, that's probably my favorite parts of the build. You got a fireplace at the bottom right, and then you got Indiana Jones at the bar. I elected to use the older Indiana Jones fig because that's just my personal favorite Indiana Jones figure, but you'll see throughout the collab that everybody chooses a different one. So yeah, that's about it for that build.
Excellent techniques there. Thank you so much. What do we have next?
All right, this is my build, the only build I did for this collab, thank God, because a few months ago I was part of the LEGO Star Wars 2 collab. I had to do so much work for that, so it's nice to just bring one small mock to a convention.
For people who didn't see that, you can find that video on Beyond the Brick as well. Fantastic work.
Yeah, I'm really proud and happy how that turned out. But anyway, so this is my mock I call Trouble in Cairo. This is based off the very famous scene of the quote-unquote sword fight where one of the swordsmen hired by the Germans is about to have supposedly a sword fight with Indy, and he just pulls out his revolver and shoots him. If you know any behind-the-scenes information about the scene, originally there was going to be a sword fight, but Harrison Ford actually got sick and suggested to director Steven Spielberg, hey, I have dysentery, can I just shoot him instead? Steven said, okay, sure, and that's how we got this classic scene. So what's interesting about getting reference material for this mock was in the actual scene, you don't see the top half of this building. So I had to scour through the movie to see if this building appeared again, and thankfully toward the third act it did. So I was able to get all these little details, because the top half has like a lot of there's like dark tan greebling. There's like ripped up posters, which I kind of tried to simulate with the red and the black. I think this is supposed to be a hotel. Like this is supposed to represent a sign. I tried to do the best I could with the details because some of the shots are more far away. I believe this is a door right here, and the door has these slanted wood panels that go on in different directions. So I tried to replicate that as best I could. And this is supposed to be like a rug, and Lego doesn't really make a piece, like a cloth piece that got the look I wanted. So I decided, okay, I'll kind of do it like in the wall, and there's like the little seating couch we have right there. For the ground, I think I could have done a little bit better job. It's interesting with the ground in that scene. Originally, I thought it was like a studio lot, but they actually did film it in Tunisia. And in the town they filmed it in, it was actually nicknamed Little Cairo, which is like an apt name. But it's all concrete with some like hay strewed about. It's not like sand or whatever. So I kind of tried to replicate that. I maybe went a little too heavy on the tan, but I think it looks okay. I'm actually pretty happy how this turned out. I think the roof looks pretty good as well. Actually, before I found more reference photos, I actually just guessed what the roof would look like, and I got it basically right. So very happy about that. And then let's switch to the other side, because we have a little surprise back here. Firstly, I'll address the monkey. That is a reference to the Lego Indiana Jones video games, where certain puzzles require you to get a key from a monkey. So you find a banana, you throw up the banana to the monkey and gives you the key. And this specifically is also from the video game. These custom tiles I got from, I can't remember the Instagram user I got these from. I'm really sorry, but basically in the game, certain characters have certain abilities to unlock different areas of the level. So we have Henry Jones, Indy's dad, with a little book, and basically you play this like Simon Says matching game to be able to open up special areas. So that's his ability. And yeah, I think this mock turned out relatively well. I wanted to make it a little bit bigger, but I'm pretty satisfied how it turned out. And also shout out to Alec and Nolan for lending me a few figures for this scene. So yeah.
Fantastic work. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, my name's Alec, or Alec Builds on Instagram, and I built these next two builds here. So the first one here is the truck chase from the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Unfortunately, we didn't have the face melt scene from the end, but it's the last build we have for the first movie here. We have Indy chasing him on his horse with a rather last-minute addition of sand underneath, but the whole mock was rather last minute. I built the front of the truck a while back, and it's pretty much sitting on my desk for about half a year. And then when I joined the collab, I knew we had to have this scene, and when the original builder for the scene dropped, I knew I had to finish it. So I pretty much built the back end of the truck in about 2 days and got it ready for the convention.
It's not a proper Lego convention without some last-minute building.
Yeah, of course. Next up is the first mock for the Temple of Doom. This is the scene in Shanghai where Indy gets in a little brawl with the gangsters, and he's escaping the club. We have all the balloons on the floor as they got all over there during all the chaos. Obviously, the gangster's shooting the machine gun. He's running behind the gong, and Willie is looking for the diamond within all the ice cubes.
Yeah, those pieces work so great as balloons there, and it just adds that color to it.
Yeah, I knew I had to include that because it was definitely an iconic part of the scene.
Where did that light piece come from?
The lights are from Light My Bricks. I knew I had to order it for this mock because it wouldn't be complete without the shooting machine gun. So they're definitely a little pricey, but I think it was definitely worth it.
Excellent work. Thank you. And who do we have next here?
Hi, my name is Jillian.
And what did you bring here?
I recreated the night camping scene from Temple of Doom.
Great elephant usage here. Well, talk a little bit about kind of the way you did the landscaping in the rock work dirt area.
I really wanted to look at colors this go around with this mock. I really like layering different colors to do a nice blend, and I really wanted to just go all out with foliage. But it was finding the right foliage and doing a right amount in certain locations and just layering them on top of each other. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. No, and I like the way you did kind of the edges as well that also have kind of that texture as well. So it kind of feels like a full scene.
Oh yeah, it was really fun getting to play around with snot techniques. Definitely learned a lot during this mock, and I'm excited to learn more in future mocks to come.
Great. Thank you so much. Head on down the line here.
Yep. Hi, I'm Nolan.
And I'm Will.
And we both did this a little bit right here. So I did the top half, and it's just a little slice of Pancot Palace from the second movie. So here we've got, it's kind of inspired by the game, honestly, the Lego Indiana Jones video game. So he's just fighting a thuggy in the palace, doing stuff. We got some nice little palace decor, some little lattice patterns going on, just some little fun details to make it feel like the palace there. And then I'll hand it off to Will for the bottom.
Yeah, and I'm Will, and I built the bottom section of this underneath the Pancot Palace. Also from Temple of Doom, we have this is the minecart scene where they're being chased by the thugs down the mines. I had space for one cart with Indy, Short Round, and Willie, and they're going over some lava. I did have a light brick inside, but that battery unfortunately died.
Great work here on the details in the palace and the rock work down below for the tunnel. Fantastic stuff. We'll move on to the next builder now.
Hey, what's up? It's Brendan again. So I did the bridge fight scene from Temple of Doom. It's after Indy cuts the bridge in half and some people fall to their doom and get eaten alive by crocodiles, fortunately enough. There's not much to this build, it's just a lot of rock work. Ironically enough, I don't really build that much, so I'm actually kind of proud. And then again, the rest of the builds in this mock series are just incredible. But the top of this, I honestly didn't even do until we got to the convention. And I was like, boy, I should really have some grass at the top. So I just went to some vendors and just winged it. And I also want to shout out our friend Alec for letting me borrow some water studs. But yeah.
No, it's a great looking rock kind of cliffside there. You know, it looks natural, so good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next build now. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Ian, or Axidroid Online, and I'm the only non-American here for this collab. Whenever this collab was planned last year at Virginia, I was pretty happy about this because I always wanted to do a body of water in a mock, and I want to go all out and do something different from the usual water techniques, and I want to do the net water technique, which is a plate, then a stud, and then the net, and then the tile, which makes a very fluent and very natural look for Lego, which is most of the time very straight edged. And as you can see, the boats are moving. That was something I've also always wanted to do, which is basically just a camshaft, just going round and round, which makes the boat go up and down, which makes it even more, organic looking and fun. Then I also did this scene is in Venice, so I wanted to have some, very iconic things that you see in Venice, which are these blue poles for when the boats, dock, they don't crash into the buildings or the surface. And I want to create some scenes like for example, the Indiana Jones and Elsa. They come out of this manhole, which then they escape on the boats. And I think something very cool was making this bridge, which actually uses flex tubes to make the rounds, make it round, and just some scenes going on with some civilians just watching the scene happening. And then I guess for the last part, I actually included some lights from Light My Bricks, and just to make it even more special of a mock, I guess. So that's pretty much it. Yep.
I mean, this whole build is fantastic. The boats themselves are also great. So what were some of the techniques you used there?
Yeah, I could actually show that. These boats are an Italian design. I actually spent some time on it, and I will show you how it uses the plate's curvature, which then creates this very iconic shape. But as the technique goes, it just uses plates, which then can bend a little, and then makes it very cool design. And I'm pretty happy with the boats, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Excellent work. Thank you so much. Fantastic. We'll move on to the next build then here.
All right, so this next build is also by me. This is the scene where Indy and his father are tied up in the German castle, and they accidentally light the floor on fire. So they move into the fireplace, And then they discover that it can spin, and on the other side is actually the German control room filled with all of the Germans.
I like the way you've done the fire techniques there, kind of getting all those different elements, you know, making it look very realistic.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the hardest part with this mock was definitely getting the spinning area to be flush with the rest of the floor. That was definitely most of the time spent on this mock was getting that to fit. I also had to get the build to not spin as fast because that motor makes it spin very, very fast. So I found a tutorial on YouTube and I just kept watching it, and I did this gear technique with, I can't remember the exact name of the gear, but basically makes it spin not as fast. So I think it's more accurate to the movie with this speed.
Great work, thank you. And as we move to the next build, I want to give a shout out to the sealed copy of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on VHS over here. I believe it cost $9.99 there, so I don't know where they pulled that out of, but that's great. Now on to the next build.
So that's from Garrett or BrickFace. He was going to build for this, and just some things came up and he wasn't able to, but he's like, I have this. And I think it's worth a little more than $9.99 now, it would be my guess. But yeah, for this one we did I did the no ticket scene from the blimp in the Last Crusade when Indiana Jones punches General Vogel out of the window and then looks at all the civilians and says, no ticket, and then they all pull it out. Super, like, just iconic scene, probably the funniest scene in the franchise, in my opinion. So I just want to like capture like kind of the comedic sense of it. So I have all of the civilians just like looking over, all holding up tickets towards the back. And this one was just really fun. This only took me about a week, and that was mostly figure out the window technique because I wanted to be able to prop the windows open and get the angles right on that. But yeah, just placing figs on this was super fun. And yeah, I'm just super proud of how it came out, especially from a color palette standpoint.
Great work, thank you. Takes us on to one of the bigger builds in the layout here.
All right. Hey, I'm Levi Pettit, and this is Area 51 Chase from Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Perfect. So tell us kind of what all do we have happening here?
So right now you're in the beginning scene of the 4th Indiana Jones installment where the Russians have invaded Area 51, and Indiana Jones has been captured by them. And they're wanting him to take them to a certain treasure, which turns out to be the Crystal Skull. They want his help, and he manages to escape, but then he's trying to catch them with the Crystal Skull before they get away as well. So it's kind of chaotic, to be honest, but whatever.
I love the way you've done the box stacking effects here. So what's that like kind of internally?
Okay, so it's a bunch of the Brickhead snot bricks. There's a ton of them in there. I bought like 600 from a guy on BrickLink. He had a bunch at a great price, so I bought them. But a lot of this is lug bulk parts. I got a ton of 1x4 tile. I think I got like 600 and still had to order there's almost 1,000 in the mock total, plus the other 1x8, 1x6. So yeah, and then the 4x4 tiles were also a lug bulk purchase. I had to buy more of those as well, and those are not cheap secondhand, so yeah.
And then talk about the vehicle design here as well.
So the vehicle design. I am not personally someone who necessarily enjoys military builds, so I decided to take an afternoon and just look at real-life vehicles as well as just like some Hasbro toys. I didn't really want to look at other Lego models because I didn't want to be at risk of copying a lot of techniques, so I tried to be as original as possible, and I cranked them out in like a day. And I'm pretty happy with the result overall. There are a couple things I might change, but overall it was a fun project that I don't normally do, so a little outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah, and how did you get the movement there for Indiana Jones swinging?
So most of this build came together pretty quick. It has been completely built since Brickworld Chicago onward. That's when I built it. But the pendulum motion that I had to get going, you had to transform that rotational energy from the Technic motor into a swinging motion. So there's a gearbox inside that I created. You had to slow down the rotational energy as well as transform that into the swinging motion. And it took just a little bit, but I figured it out, and it got it to a degree of swinging that I liked, because originally he was swinging like a full 180 degrees, and that's not realistic enough. So it took some work, fun technique maneuvering, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think it turned out fine.
Fantastic. We'll keep moving down then here.
Hey, so my name's Caleb, or Blackwell Bricks, better known online, but I built Arnie's Diner from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So here we have kind of the diner scene when Indiana Jones first meets his son Mutt, And then they kind of start talking about the adventure they're about to go on, just kind of discussing. And he hands him a little note, and then the Russian spies walk up trying to take it from him. And then he tells his son Mutt to start a bar fight. So here I have reenacting kind of the minifigs going a little crazy. You got minifigs swinging around, chairs being thrown, and just lots of. I went for more of like a smoother finish on this one. Didn't want a whole lot of studs, but just trying to have a little fun with it. And so we got like Indiana Jones and them running away from the scene with this bad guy trying to chase them. And then so I did a lot of crazy techniques on this one. So like these roads are actually just sitting here by kind of like friction. So this whole road actually slides out. And then like my lamp post, I had to take a real drill and drill through it in order to get my wires through to solder all my lights into it. So I used minifigure heads to put the lights in it. And then just a bunch of other stuff like that. Use techniques like right here. We got a lot of like 2x4 plates with some 1x2 plates stacked on top of it. And once you get a bunch of them, you can actually smash them all together to make an arch like that. So it's a smooth finish.
That brick bending type effect. That's great.
Exactly. So to hide the gap between that and there, I used a flex tube in the middle with a lot of clips to give like more of that kind of like that roof effect. And so on top, just got a few fun features like Spider-Man. A lot of kids like to have those little Easter eggs in there. And then a little reference to like the Lego Star Wars game with Jar Jar sniffing the flowers and stuff like that. So just a fun little collab. This was the first time I was invited into a collaboration. So I was just happy to hop on board, get to know these guys all a lot better. Everyone at Empire looks really good.
Super cool. And what I love about this build is kind of when you first walk up to it, you notice the lights and the street scene, but then you look inside there, you realize you've got that great movement, kind of the chaos of the chairs. So how did you incorporate the movement into the build?
So there's a lot of like the motors and stuff on the inside, and just using a like a Technic wheel, and then using the clear piece coming off of the wheel. So it just sits there and does a spinning motion around it, and the wheel, just the chair being attached to it. And so it just helps it go up and down, rotating. So it gives that effect like it's being thrown.
Perfect. Great work. Thank you. Move on to the next build. I think this is the final build in the series here.
Yes, sir. Okay. This is the scene with all the ants, the man-eating ants.
So if you want to tell us your name and then take us through what you've got then.
My name's Russell Mangiapane, and this is my Indiana Jones ant scene from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Perfect. So there's a lot happening here. So start at the top here. What all do we have going on?
So you have the jungle, obviously. They're getting chased through the jungle, and they end up crashing. They're getting chased by the Russians, and they decide that since they cannot go backwards due to the ants, the best option is to fly off the cliff in their boat car.
And you can see the rushing water down below here.
Yes, sir. That was my favorite part of the build. That's what I spent most of the time on, was nailing the water and the terrain below.
So the landscaping here is really kind of the star of the show. So talk about those techniques with the trees and the various rock work.
Yeah, the major thing with the rock work and kind of the subterranean techniques was the idea of cheese slopes and using cheese slopes inverted on each other. It gives you a 2.5 plates. So it's dealing with a lot of the half plate math and whatever, but it allows you to get all these inverted cheese slopes on each other. So you get this really nice gradual ascent into the different levels of the terrain. And then this is my tree design. This is like the 4th time I've used it. I really love it. Just using all the different flex tube, different wires, the Indiana Jones whip scenes, funny enough, zip lines, basically anything that I can find that really gives it that feel of being natural. Just kind of blending them all together, bundling them together, and it gives it a natural look.
How did you get so many ant pieces here for this build?
So many ant pieces. A lot of money off BrickLink. Yeah, that was the only expense I had, though, for the build, so I decided it was worth it, and I think it definitely paid off.
You never know when those might come in handy for something.
I have no idea what else I'm going to use them for, but I have 100 ants, so there we go.
And then I like how you did the water with almost kind of layers down here. So how did you kind of get that to come together and stay together?
Yeah, so that was really tough. Basically just having them all sitting there by friction. I had a lot of it just sitting in there, like I said, kind of weaving them together with the studs going down, studs going up, just hoping it all stay together, and then trying to lock as much as I could in at the top with stud connections, and then filling it in once I got here, because since we road trip, most of it wasn't going to stay, so I just decided to hold off on a lot of the water and then kind of place it all in there once we got to the convention.
And you've got a really thick cliffside here, so what's that internal structure like?
Internal structure, it's just stacked 2x4. I've had a lot of problems in the past with structural integrity, so I'm like, I might as well just use the filler. I have it, so it's just stacked brick inside with a mild Technic beam structure.
Perfect. Excellent work here. Thank you so much for all the effort put into this build here, and for everyone who participated in the collab. Really great work. Thank you.
Thank you.